The film starts with a little girl, Wen, collecting grasshoppers in a jar in the woods, outside the cabin she is staying in with her fathers, Eric and Andrew. Wen is approached by a large man, Leonard, who tries to come off as friendly toward her, even joining in catching grasshoppers. Leonard tells Wen that he is there to do something that he will regret. 3 other people, Sabrina, Adrian, and Redmond, emerge from the woods armed with large, sharp weapons, prompting Wen to run back toward the cabin. Wen dashes off to alert Eric and Andrew to the outside strangers. Leonard knocks on the door and informs Eric and Andrew that he needs to speak with them one-on-one because they are there to complete a task. The family starts locking the doors and windows as the guys start to get tense. The group then starts breaking in through the windows of the home. Sabrina and Eric got into a fight after she managed to enter the home. Eric stumbles and loses consciousness during their altercation. Andrew attacks Sabrina in a fit of rage, but she is able to repel him. Redmond barges in and fights Andrew violently. Redmond was severely defeated by Andrew. However, the other attackers were able to enter, and the 4 were able to subdue the family while Sabrina attended to Eric's wound. A brief flashback shows Eric and Andrew meeting Andrew's parents, and their silence indicates that the 2 are not comfortable with their son's sexuality, unlike Eric's mother. Andrew is disappointed, since his parents drove for 7 hours but stayed for only 45 minutes, but Eric promises him that they will always be together. Back to the present. Eric and Andrew are tied up, and the group puts on cartoons to comfort Wen. Eric is concussed and complains about sensitivity to light and a lack of vision, which Sabrina tries to help with. When everything is settled, the group begins to introduce themselves and their backgrounds. Sabrina is a nurse for almost 5 years from Pennsylvania. Leonard is a 2nd-grade teacher from Chicago. When Redmond introduces himself, he provides irrelevant information out of annoyance that they were wasting their time waiting for Eric to awaken. Leonard refuted this and convinced him to introduce himself politely in order to win the family over and gain their cooperation. He went on to describe himself. Redmond is from Massachusetts, who works in a gas company. Adrienne is a line cook from D.C. Leonard then explains his and the group's presence. The 4 of them have been seeing visions of apocalyptic events, and the family has been chosen to deliver a sacrifice to ensure humanity's survival. If the family fails to choose, the catastrophic events will end up coming true. They are also told that they cannot commit suicide to spare their loved ones. Leonard asks Eric and Andrew if they will make a choice, but the 2 are adamant about not wanting to sacrifice anyone. Redmond steps forward and puts a white mask over his head and looks so frightened. The family is anxious about what will happen next. A bright light coming from a mirror distracts Eric's attention. As the other 3 members of the assaulting group move behind Redmond, who is now kneeling, Sabrina blocks the light coming from the mirror, but Eric appears to see something in the reflection. Redmond then says that humanity is being judged before Sabrina and Adriani stick their weapons in his head. Leonard decapitates him afterwards. Another flashback shows Eric and Andrew when they first adopted Wen. She was born with a cleft palate but had surgery to fix it. Back in the present, the group is working hard to clean up the aftermath of Redmond's death. Afterwards, Leonard turns on the TV to show the family about the events that have transpired thus far. There have been powerful earthquakes and massive tsunamis occurring in some parts of the world, leading to many fatalities. Adrian notes that what she is witnessing in the news corresponds to what she saw in her visions. The group then informed Andrew and Eric that they had a choice the following day. They could choose to be selfless and make a sacrifice, or they could choose to be selfish and watch yet another terrible event take place. Andrew insisted that their decision hasn't changed, while Eric remained silent, appearing to be deeply contemplating something. A flashback from before they arrived at the cabin in question reveals how content the family is. They sing along to the music as they travel, and when they got to the cabin, they even went swimming in a lake close by. Back to the present, in a room, Eric is alone with Sabrina attending to his head wound. Sabrina told Eric about her vision and how she met with the others. She was trying to persuade Eric into believing her, but Eric told him that he is on his family's side. Wen attempts to escape through the basement, but Leonard catches up to her and brings her back to the house. Andrew believes that they are being targeted for being a gay couple, as he recognizes Redmond as the man who assaulted him at a bar once, but the group insists that they are not there for that reason. The next morning, Adriane cooks breakfast for Wen. Andrew tells Eric that his hands are loosening from their binds, so he might have a chance to break free. Wen sneaks Eric a knife, and he gives her a heads up to do something when she is instructed to. When it comes time for the family to choose again, Adriane steps up to plead her case, as she will be the next to die if the family remains in choosing not to sacrifice one of them. She tells them that she has a son named Charlie, and in her visions, she has repeatedly seen his death and cannot stop hearing his screams. She begs the guys to think about that in their decision, but Andrew still tells them no. Adrienne kneels down, covers her face with a white mask, and repeats what Redmond said moments before being killed. A part of humanity has been judged, before Leonard and Sabrina beat and decapitate her. Sabrina is devastated by what she did. It appears that the group doesn't want to carry out those acts, but they were left with no other option. They then put on the news, which is reporting on the spread of a deadly virus that affects children. Eric tried to tell them that he had seen a figure in the light from the mirror earlier, but Andrew told Eric that he noticed the report is pre-recorded and that he has been reading about the virus for months, giving him further reason to suspect that the group is lying to them. Eric believes on what Andrew has told him and signaled Wen to throw a tantrum to distract the other two, allowing Eric to cut himself free and giving Andrew an opportunity to run to the car where he tries to get his gun. Sabrina injures his leg, but he throws dirt in her face and gets into the car. As he tries to load the gun, she tries to break in and lightly stabs him in the side, but he manages to fire his gun and forces Sabrina to drop her weapon. After making it back to the cabin, Andrew threatens Leonard but is startled when Sabrina runs in, causing him to shoot her. Another flashback shows the attack at the bar with a man that looks vaguely like Redmond, with a bigger beard, and he was said to have been imprisoned, which led to him training in self-defense and buying a gun. After Sabrina dies, Leonard beheads her. Andrew also grabs Redmond's wallet from his body and confirms that he was indeed his attacker, a man named Rory O'Bannon. Andrew orders Leonard to go into the bathroom at gunpoint, with the intention of taking the vehicle that the group arrived in and using it to return home since they slashed the family's car's tires. After a few minutes, Leonard breaks the bathroom window, leading the guys to think that he is escaping to the vehicle to leave them stranded. Andrew opens the bathroom and shoots into the shower, but Leonard still manages to attack him despite being shot in the arm. Eric tries to assist in subduing Leonard, but due to their size difference, Leonard manages to push Eric. Andrew and Leonard engage in a brief struggle before Leonard ultimately disarms him. Leonard then makes the guys turn the TV back on. The news shows hundreds of airlines around the world begin to experience failures, causing thousands of planes to suddenly crash from the sky. Eric is now questioning whether what has happened thus far is merely coincidental, whereas Andrew remains steadfast in protecting his family despite his reservations about the nature of such heinous events. Leonard then speaks the same lines as the anchorwoman, making Andrew believe that everything was rehearsed. Leonard brings Eric and Andrew outside and tells them that they have one last chance to prevent more disasters from happening. Eric tells Wen to hide in a treehouse until someone goes to get her. When it becomes clear they still aren't choosing, Leonard tells them they will only have a few minutes to stop it before it's too late. He speaks the words, "All of humanity has been judged," and then slits his throat. A powerful storm begins forming, with lightning hitting the ground and various trees, and more planes falling from the sky. The guys go back inside the house. Eric tells Andrew about the figure he saw in the sun's reflection, and he admits that he has begun to believe that the group's visions were true. He noticed that they each represented aspects of humanity. Redmond was malice, Adrienne was nurturing, Sabrina was healing, and Leonard was guidance. They were the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and their deaths were necessary. When Eric seems ready to be the one to make the sacrifice, Andrew argues with him, saying humanity is not worth saving because they hate and reject people like him and Eric. Eric then tells Andrew of a vision he saw of a world that continues to live on, and how Andrew grows old and continues to be close to Wen, and how she has found a career she is proud of and someone who loves her as much as she loves them. With this, Eric finds his peace and takes Andrew's hand so he can shoot himself. After Andrew mourns his husband, he goes to get Wen from the treehouse. The two walk until they find the truck that Leonard's group came in. Andrew drives with Wen to a diner, where people are gathered to see the news of the disasters winding down. Planes have landed safely, and the death toll from the virus has slowed down. In the back seat, Andrew finds items proving that the group, barring Redmond, really were who they said they were. Leonard really was a beloved coach. Sabrina was a nurse, and he also finds a picture of Adrienne with Charlie. Andrew and Wen later leave together toward an uncertain future.
Thank you for watching, guys. Please consider subscribing. Every new subscriber means the world to me and helps support the channel's growth. I appreciate your consideration and thank you for being a part of this journey with me.